my friends. I have not looked in a mirror in a while, and yeah, I feel like I'm starting to see double. Haven't slept much, and I don't know what I might talk about instead of the election. So I think I'm just going to talk about the election because that's basically everything I've been thinking about for the last like 48 hours or so. Um, so even as a Canadian, I get really heavily invested in these things. I mean, what happens in the States does affect, I mean, the world, but Canada, like we're neighbors, so I feel like it affects us particularly strongly. Justin Trudeau hasn't made any comment about the election yet. I think he had like a 20-second interview, in which case he was basically just like, dudes, we don't know what's happening yet, and just kind of left it at that. It was very, very brief. Didn't respond to a question from a journalist if he was worried or anything like that. So last night, I did a little improv session because I wasn't really in the mood to talk about this, but I'm a little bit, let's talk about it. I feel like it's on all of our minds. Let's just talk about it anyway. So as an introduction to this, I do feel strongly that that Donald Trump should not win a second term. There are a large variety of reasons. I feel like actually there's a really large amount of reasons, but what it comes down to is the things that I value, like unity and truth, are things that he doesn't stand for. So it's really that simple. And I mean, you have to understand that like I tend to have like a democratic leaning in general. Like I've if I would have been able to participate in any of the American elections, I would have voted for like Obama. I would have voted for Gore and so on. So that is kind of like my own personal tendency as well. But it's very difficult to support some, like I just yeah, it would be difficult to watch another 4 years with Trump and all the lies. I think the thing that I find the most troubling in the wake of how the election's been playing out is that he's been sowing the seeds of being able to call this election fraudulent for quite some time now. I mean, this happened back in 2016 too, even when he won, but you know, basically, like literally saying that the voting is fraud, and you know, getting his law, like his law team in action and stuff like that is his tweets have been a little shocking. Actually, they haven't been shocking at all. They've been totally on brand, but disconcerting. You know, when Fox News is like, "Hey, you can't say that." That's like, okay, he's overstepping some bounds if he's being called out by Fox News. So. Yeah, so I guess my overall feelings as it stands right now. So we still don't know what's happening with Georgia. We have to wait probably another like few hours before we get results from them. We have to wait another day for Nevada. And Pennsylvania, obviously, we're probably not going to know until, say, Friday. But with, yeah, I basically woke up at about 6 in the morning feeling pretty bummed out by the state of things. And then by about like 10 in the morning, things were looking pretty positive because we were starting to see a swing with Wisconsin. We were starting to see a swing with Illinois. And I think there's a couple like really significant things that have happened that might have been decisive in this election. One of them is Arizona probably swinging. So cautiously optimistic about that because it could change. As far as I know, they, as of this recording, I think they've counted about 85% of their votes. So, I mean, there's still quite a few votes to count with Arizona. So things could change. I don't want to like rest on my laurels, but most national and international publications are calling it for Arizona right now. But that's a significant swing. And I can't help but wonder if Trump's treatment of Joe Biden, if Trump's treatment of John McCain, plays a role there because Arizonians are very, passionate about John McCain. He's kind of like, he was a cool guy. And Cindy McCain came out as saying she was in support of Joe Biden, even though obviously like she was married to a Republican and all of that. So I feel like that had to have played some role. So Arizona swinging blue was substantial, I think, in terms of determining this. as well as Wisconsin and Illinois. Like, obviously, those are two really important pieces of the puzzle. The Trump is wanting a recount with Wisconsin, so I mean, it is within like 20,000 votes. Really, really close call. But you can't help but think, in the case of Wisconsin, when it's as close as 20,000 votes, that really signals the importance of voting and the power of the individual voter. It might be like, you know, in states like California or New York, maybe there's a tendency to be a little bit more ambivalent because they're like, it's going to be fine anyway. But in like, with that narrow of a margin and with so many more voters coming out this year, that could have been the difference. Like, those, you know, 20,000 people who might have, like, maybe that would have been 20,000 people who might have stayed at home. So, it really does show the power of the people. So, so those ones are pretty set. But the other surprise that I think is really interesting is Omaha. So Nebraska gave one electoral college seat to Biden out of like their 5 that they have within the state. Just the way they do it on like a, what is it, like a, it's not provincial, on like a state level. Sorry, I'm in Canada, I think about provinces. They divide it up differently. So all 5 didn't immediately go to the Republicans. One of the votes, and that Omaha vote essentially like could have been the difference between like a 269 tie, if it came to that. So that could be like the one point that gets Biden to 270. So as it stands, as I'm seeing right now in the results, it's Biden's at 264. So he really just needs Nevada to have that 270 win. It would be real good icing, like real delicious icing, if Georgia would come on board. And there is also the potential upset for Arizona swinging back. I don't want to say anything or feel anything too conclusively yet. But Georgia's an interesting one. The last time I checked, I feel like they're almost done counting, and it's probably going to be Republican-led. But as it stands now, it feels like there's still somewhat of a possibility for it to swing. That would be a really cool surprise if, you know, people in Atlanta and things like that were able to swing that state. That would be pretty significant. At the start of the night, I was looking at that with yesterday. I was looking at that with Texas because I was seeing the early votes come in with Texas, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of Democratic voters in Texas. Was not expecting that. And of course, the tide definitely shifted. But I had like a 2-hour moment of hope, like a pocket of time where I was like, oh, what if Texas was like a surprise blue state? Wouldn't that be something? Especially with all the young people moving there with the like tech startups and everything. Like Texas is becoming like a pretty progressive state. So I don't know. I could see, like, you know, in the next 4 to 8 years, like Texas could go in the blue direction. But I guess like a part of me hopes for like really dramatic thing, not drama, but like that would be a really cool win, right? And it was a win that was not meant to be. But I'm still kind of looking at Georgia. I think that'll be sorted out within a few hours, so that's going to be, you know, pretty quick. Of course, we're still waiting on a couple others. North Carolina, I was thinking earlier on, like, maybe there's hope, but I'm kind of feeling like, no, probably not North Carolina. So yeah, basically, like, Nevada, if you guys did your job, that should take Joe Biden. And Arizona, if you hold steady, that should take Joe Biden to 270. And that's kind of an uncomfortable win. If he just wins with 270, that's real close. That's like, I feel like it's not going to be over for a while. I think there's going to be a lot of lawsuits being filed. There already are. I think there's going to be a lot of there might be some tumult having to do with the potential for fraud. Trump has not been displaying that he's going to do a peaceful transfer of power. So and he has not encouraged his supporters to chill out and accept the results, whatever they are. Instead, he seems to be encouraging his supporters to, to distrust the system, the election system, the government, all the people involved. It's by saying that it's fraud. They're like the Democrats are inventing votes and things like that. Is really a way to undermine democracy. And I don't see that part of the story being over yet. But who knows how things will play out. It would be nice to get my life back and start to think about other things. I don't know about you guys, but when really big events like this happen, I get super obsessed. And it's always for a short amount of time that I carry on, like, like normal, and don't talk about it or really think about it for a while. For the last 4 years, I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about politics. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. It's just really based on getting super obsessive over the last few days. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. I get swept up in the energy of the moment. So many people care about this right now. It just feels like it's a really important moment in history. No matter what happens, this is a moment in time that I want to pay attention to, that I want to be present for, that I want to remember, that I want to look back on and say, like, I was involved in that. I was engaged in this process. I knew what was happening. I was in there. Like watching some kind of like a live sports game or something, for the most banal of comparisons there. And I think that's gonna be where I wrap up this video. I just, I don't know. I don't know if this is contributing any kind of value to any of you watching this. It's more just that I pretty much can't think about anything else right now. So I could not think of a single thing that I could actually bring myself to discuss with you guys aside from the thoughts that have been circulating in my brain. So good job, Arizona. Good job, Omaha. High five to you guys. And we'll see. I'm probably going to have another late night. It's almost guaranteed that I'm going to stay up till like 2 a.m. again, watching the news and checking out the election updates and everything like that. By the way, as a side note, I was checking through some of the different news channels and news feeds. So Canada's channel, actually Global News in Canada and CBC in Canada, were doing like a live streaming event throughout the entire election night, as Canada always does. And I always participate in, I spend like the whole evening tethered to the news and things like that in every election since the Bush re-election in 2004. Because that was the first election I cared about, yeah, because I was, how old was I in 2004? I was 18, so that was when I started paying a little bit more attention. But I like the ritual of it. I like dedicating a small part of my life every 4 years to paying attention to this. But where I'm going with this is when you compare like ABC News or, like Fox News or any of these big like American news channels, and like the intensity is so much higher. So I spend most of my night watching CBC News because it's like they're pretty chill. They've got some really good guest speakers on. They give good information. It's pretty solid. But it's like there's no dramatic music or anything like that. It's just like a pretty chill vibe. And then I would turn to like ABC and it's like dun dun dun, like really dramatic music and everything's all intense all the time. There's like really flashy graphics and I guess it makes it more entertaining, but it was like super overwhelming. I was getting stressed out watching it, so I was like, okay, back to my calm Canadian broadcasting channel. So that was kind of a funny difference to know. But that's the note I'm gonna leave it on. I feel, okay, one more quick aside is, I don't like talking about controversial topics. So when I posted a video the other day about veganism, I don't really like doing that. This video, I don't really like doing this because I know that it's, inevitably going to polarize some people, or some people are going to, judge my opinion, my choices, because this is a very polarizing issue. Like Americans are super divided. It's not just a matter of like, let's leave our politics on the table and carry on. It's like there's vitriol on both sides towards the other side, where if you support, Trump, or if you support Biden, it's like you're a bad person. That's kind of like the way it feels. So I feel like I'm kind of stepping into a little bit of a trap, but at the same time, I mean, it should be okay for us to just express our opinion without I don't know, being flamed down for it, because at the end of the day, like, we're all people, and most of us are even like pretty decent people. So I would love if the world, and America in particular, could seek to find more unity. And now I'm going to end this video. Bye, guys.